Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, in DC's Dark Knight's Metal, issue number 1 of 6. Alright, so we basically see 3 historical tribes 50,000 years ago. In the Age of Stone, they were the wolf, the bear, and the bird. Hey listen, if you actually make the bird an eagle very specifically, you've got all 3 subclasses in the Player's Edition of the 5th edition handbook for Barbarian. Yeah, I'm just saying, Dungeons and Dragons. Anyway, so after this came the Age of Metal. And that's when Ronnie James Dio was born. I know I'm making fun of this, but this was actually a really good book. It's just there's some parts in the beginning you can't help but to laugh at. Okay, so we got heroes on World. Okay, now they don't go into deep explanation of this. Maybe they will later. Maybe they just don't need to. Okay, Action Comics, if you're reading that, just the most recent storyline, Mongul is free. There was something going on with Zod, and yeah, they really went into a little more depth than they needed to, things that didn't actually happen in the comics so far, but you can assume that he had a war with Zod, and yeah, eventually he got captured by the Braillians or left with the Braillians. So the Braillians were clearly distracted because they have a core metal world, and how does that make any sense? Well, read the comic, you'll get it. So anyway, they're on War World. Now, Mongul attaches armor to these guys to make them weak. What does this actually have to do with the story? Right now, absolutely nothing. Nothing whatsoever. It's the craziest, most absurd thing possible. If they somehow go back and we get to see how they got there and why they got there and what was the purpose of all this nonsense, then cool. In the meantime, it was very cool. But did it have to be in the story? I felt like it was a really awesome concept that they could have saved for something better, or they could have found a way to actually get us there. In the meantime, it was really cool. Don't get me wrong for a second, but if you're looking for a reason for why they were there, you will not find one here. You simply won't. So they wind up getting these special individualized armors attached to them. Like Green Lantern has a small black hole generator on his right hand, his gauntlet, so that he can't use his power ring. And Superman has a chest plate attached to him that was forged from 1,000 crushed red suns. And yeah, really. Anyway, just don't look for any actual science here, guys. Just don't. Believe me, you'll enjoy the comic more if you don't. So Toyman has also been captured, and he creates this a bunch of toys to go after and fight these guys. Well, Batman winds up finding a trick in here. It's actually kind of cool. Read the comic, you'll see. And he's able to realize that by destroying symbols representing themselves, they have to find their own symbols in the monsters. All right, so each monster is actually individualized for the characters themselves. It's kind of cool. I guess it's based off of the armors themselves some way, somehow. Basically, you've got the Justice League versus Power Rangers. They're not versus, but Justice League Power Rangers comics. And this seems to tie in inadvertently. Okay, they said metal is going to tie in with everything. And this is the connection I'm seeing here. All right. And bang, they wind up forming a giant Power Zord thing, like, the Flash and Aquaman form the feet and the legs. Superman forms the body, arms and legs by Wonder Woman and Cyborg. And of course, Batman's, he doesn't say it, but he damn well should have. He should have said, and I'll form the head. And since there's 6 of them, that means it's actually Devastator, right? From off of the Transformers. I'm just saying, you look at it, man, and it's beautiful and it's awesome. And then it completely skips over anything after that. It's a shame, man. It's a shame, but I got to give a little bit of credit to Timo Harry, one of my subs, because the dude actually said at one point, go Justice Rangers. And yeah, that's exactly what this is. So we skip from this point and we go to something entirely different. It's like a Monty Python skit now for something entirely different. And they're leaving War World. The only way you even know is because the Flash references a joke that he made while they were on War World. So, okay, really cool way to see, this is what I'm saying. Nothing had anything to do with anything else. Anyway, these guys appear back on Earth, They're flying back to Earth. They get back there, and right on Gotham, there's a giant mountain that formed. It seemed to have spread everything out. And Batman does a little self-deprecation, how he didn't know that this thing that he couldn't have possibly known was going to happen happened. He deploys the Bat family. Let go of the family. Deploy the family. And it's like, dude, it's such a Godfather moment, but it's the Bat father, and it just makes it all the greater. Okay, so. This being the case, Superman discovers that the mountain is hollow. Flash runs around, looks for a door, finds one. It's in the shape of a time running out hourglass thing. So it almost looks like it's another Lantern emotion, like the "oh crap, I'm late" emotion. And that's an entirely different motion on its own. Inside, they find 5 people inside a cryo sleep pod. They also find a deactivated Red Tornado, and they don't know who he is. So perfect. So here's the Red Tornado rebirth. The Blackhawks show up. Now, if you forget who these guys are, then it's fine. It's perfectly fine. Unfortunately, not a lot of people are reading All-Star Batman, which is a shame. It's to me, it's an absolute shame because there's just so much in there. And here, there's actually a major reference from issues 6 through 9, the Blackhawks. I think they're actually more than just 6 through 9. This is just what they're saying in there. I'm positive they were in later ones also. Anyway, Lady Blackhawk, as it turns out, is actually Kendra Saunders. If you forget who Kendra Saunders is, back during the Green Lantern, the Jeff Johns, you understand why I made that mistake, during the Jeff Johns run of Hawkman, I think that was volume 4, 5, or 6, whatever, so many volumes. But Kendra Saunders wound up replacing Shiara as Hawkwoman. And yeah, anyway, so she's there, and it's basically, she's talking about she's there in lieu of Carter Hall, who is one of the greatest detective archaeologist space scientists ever. He's basically like Batman on steroids in this version. So great, another version of Hawkman. I couldn't keep up if you put a gun to my head. Please don't put a gun to my head, because as I mentioned, I can't keep up. And he's my favorite DC character. So if I can't keep up, I don't even know what to tell you. So anyway, she's talking about Hawkman and the Challengers of the Unknown, which to me is I love the reference here. You remember the old Challenge of the Unknown comic book? Boom. Just, I absolutely love it. Anyway, what do you call it? Red Tornado was there along with the Metal Men and just, I love the reference they're making here, and obviously who's going to be inside the cryo, or it seems who's in the cryopod, but we don't get to unleash them yet. Anyway, they go back to this island in the South Pacific, and they're talking. She's saying that, it's already known that there was matter and antimatter, and we've got these 52 multiverses, all over the place, and we can't seem to find any more. The Flash says, no, there aren't any more. I've been studying the multiverses for a long time. There's only these 52. So, nice reference back to the New 52. Digging it, even though I hate the New 52. Almost all of it. So, you have all this crazy stuff going on, and Kendra says, oh, there's also dark matter, dark energy, was just discovered recently. So, okay, cool. I like that you're bringing in science. Of course, they go completely nuts with this, but I also want you to notice that if you guys read this comic so far, you've seen the chart, and you know the place where New Genesis and Apocalypse go, but also where Monitor and Anti-Monitor would go. Well, that being the case, is there a New Gods version of the dark matter / dark energy? And if that's the case, is there a Monitor, like a dark Monitor? Because I'm just saying, I'm looking at the map, I'm reading what they're saying, and I'm listening. And this just, if they don't go this way, what an incredibly lost opportunity for them, and shame on them. Okay, so they warned of a great dragon in the darkness. I'm reading into it. Owain will unleash this darkness. They're talking about minor devils, and they're actually going back and looking in things. If you know mythology and religion, theology, they're actually talking at this point about the Lesser Key of Solomon, and it's very interesting, very interesting. And I wonder where they got some of this from. Did they just do this on their own? In which case, kudos to them. If not, I understand if they got it all from Neil Gaiman, because I would expect him to know these things. On top of that, Batman comes to find out that the lost the lost, the Journal of Carter Hall, Hawkman, my favorite version of Hawkman, not the Qatar Hall version, who just died recently. He actually hid his book in Wayne Manor. And a tuning fork frequency of what's going on actually resonates and leads him to this. He has to dig up the floorboards and find it. But behind him appears the Daniel version of Sandman. I just mentioned Neil Gaiman, right? So, boom! Dude, guys, there is so much in this. And they said they were going to be doing, like I said, crossing over everything, involving everything. And it's here. It's here now. So, man, this is amazing. At one point, I think they even mentioned Warlord's Homeworld. I didn't actually read it in there. I thought I did. I went back and I looked for it, but I was skimming and scanning as opposed to actually rereading the entire comic, so I couldn't find it exactly. But man, they've just got so much in here. It's insane. If I didn't give this comic book an A+, I would be remiss in my duties as a reviewer of comics, and therefore, I'm absolutely giving this an A+. This is a phenomenal, insane comic with so much involved in it. I read the whole thing, and if I had to do it again, I wouldn't even know where to begin. It's like that. Guys, if you stuck around for this whole preview, you must have loved it as much as I did, and I'm glad you did. Guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, class dismissed.